Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to JV Jumbo Online Mathematics. Today we are going to look at the calculation aspect of partial fraction. We already looked at rules of partial fraction, and I also taught you how we can differentiate partial fraction from polynomial. But today we are going to look at how we can solve on partial fraction. We want to see how we can solve on partial fraction. Now, how can we solve an expression on the board? Look at expression on the board. I'm going to give you two steps of solving this problem. Step one, I will consider step one and step two in this solving. Let me look at step one. And looking at the expression, we have 1 over s squared minus 1. In this one now, we are going to use, the rule we are using, quadratic rules. That is what we are using, quadratic rule. Now in this case, I'm going to be having a all over, taking the difference of 2 square of this one, I'll be having what? This plus b all over s plus 1. Now in this case, what can we do? We have to take LCM of this. When I take LCM of this one, I will be having what? S minus 1 and s plus 1. That is what I'm going to be having there. Now, let us see what will happen. If this one now divide here, what is it going to give us? Remember, I've taught you algebraic addition and subtraction of algebraic fraction. If this one divide here, I think to be left with second bracket, multiply here, because of a open bracket, I think we'll be having what? X plus 1. That is what we will be having there. Now, let's also divide here. We'll be having plus. Come what? Now, if this one divide here, okay, this one divide here, we're having what? This. Multiplied by the up numerator. This one now also divide here, we are left with what? The minus. One of the minus, that is say b, open bracket, s minus 1. That is what we have there. Therefore, I've just taking my LCM and I simplify already. Now what can we do here? What can we do in this place? It means that in this one I cannot say here, I can bring this one here, I'll bring it here. Don't forget also that okay here I can also do the same thing here. Mean therefore here now simply mean 1 over what? S minus 1 and also what? S plus 1. That is what we need there. This one become this. Now, what is the final note here? The final note here is simply, I can say, therefore, that this very one now is not this. Because this one is what is giving us this. Because a, open bracket, s plus 1, and we have what? B. We have b, which is what? S minus 1. All over s minus 1 and what? S plus 1. That is what we have there. I hope you can see it very clearly. This is what we have here. Now, in this case, now what can we do? You can see that the denominators, they are the same. Therefore, I can do away with the denominators since they are the same. I can now conclude and say 1 equal a, open bracket, s plus 1 plus b, open bracket, s minus 1. I can now conclude now. I can do away with the denominators. Now, solving this one, now what can we do? We have to open the bracket. Remember, we are looking at step 1. I have to open the bracket. If I open the bracket, I will become what? AS. Open here, become what? A. Also open here, this one become what? BS. And open here, become what? B. Therefore, now which one has the same like 10? This one, they have the same like 10. Become what? AS plus BS. Which one? This one, there is no X here. I can bring them together. Become what? A minus B. And therefore, we have what? 1 here. We have 1. Now, looking at the coefficient now, I can see now, which one is common here? There's something common there. Something is common. You mean that in that ASBS, something is common. What can I do there? I can say, let me put it this way. I can say 1 equal A, open brackets. Okay, sorry. I can say A, which is A plus B, S. And also, we also have the other one. Yeah, there's something common here. I can say A minus B. In that case. Now, what can we do here now? what can we do in this place? It means that the next step we can do there, I hope we already understand, it means that we cannot compare the coefficients. I cannot compare the coefficient, meaning the coefficient this side, I compare it with the one I have this way. Now, what is the coefficient here? The coefficient of x here is for AB. It means that AB here is going to be what? There is nothing like x here. I will say equals 0. I will call this one equation 1. Now, what is the next one there? I think this one has no s. This one has no s. I can say a minus b equal 1 because this one has no s. I can call this one equation 2. Equation 2. Now, in this case, now what can we do? In this case, what can we do? Means since we now have the same we now have what two equation. What can we do? We cannot eliminate. We cannot use simultaneous equation to solve. In that simultaneous equation, we are going to use elimination method to solve this problem. Meaning we can solve using elimination method. I will now minus, if I minus here now, A will go. If I minus, A will go. Let me minus here, that is equals to say that if I minus here, this one will be what? 2b equal minus here, we are going to be having minus 1. Therefore, now what can we do there? What can we do there? What can we do there? It means that in that case, I can find my b can be what? Divide both sides by 2. I will now be having minus 1 all over 3. Therefore, I have found my b. I have found my b. I have found my b. Now, in this case now, I can now move on to find my a. Now, to find my a, I will now say put b equal minus 2, then minus 1 over 2 into either equation 1 or 2. Now, put into equation 1, let me say equation 1. If I put into equation 1, or if you can also choose equation 2, okay, let me choose equation 2. Equation 2 there, put, or can say put b equal 1 minus 1 over 2 into equation, since we are choosing equation 2, into equation 2. We are choosing equation 2 there, meaning now, let me now substitute into that equation 2. If I substitute inside, what am I going to have? Please, this one is put, this one here is put. We are putting b into this equation because of a. I don't have anything for a. B is what now? We are having what? Minus 1 over 2. Minus 1 over 2. And equal what? 1. Now, if I open bracket and put that for a plus 1 over 2 equal 1, take it over because of a equal 1 minus 1 over 2. And we take LCM here, what are we going to have? We are going to be having 2 minus 1 all over 2. Minus 6 become what? 1 over 2. Therefore, I have just gotten my a to be 1 over 2. I have gotten my a to be what? 1 over 2. Therefore, I cannot represent now. I cannot represent. Now, I cannot represent this one. Now, please, I want you to go through it. Go through the work we have just done. And after which I will represent. I want to put them now into this place here because this is where we are coming from. We are coming from this square here. We are coming from here. I want to represent A and represent B. I want to represent A and represent B. Let us see how we can represent them now. Let us see how we can represent them. Okay, let us now represent it now. Let us now represent it. We have found A, we have calculated for A. We also calculated for B. What is B? B was 1 over, that is minus 1 over 2, while the one of A is 1 over 2. Now, we cannot represent, now carrying it, I think we're coming from here, we're coming from this angle here. With I can pick this one here, I can pick this one and bring it here, and can say, therefore, 1 over S squared, 1 over S squared minus 1 is equal what? A all over S minus 1 plus B all over S plus 1. Now, what can we do here? What is our A? They gave us A. A is what? 1 over 2. 1 over 2 all over S minus 1. And they also gave us B. And what is B? They said B is what? Minus 1 over 2 all over what? S plus 1. Therefore, now what can we do? When we do this one mathematically, we are going to be having what? 1 over 2 S minus 1. And this minus here will affect this plus because what? 1 over what? 1 over 2 open bracket S plus 1. Therefore, this is going to be our final conclusion here. This one is going to be our final conclusion here. It means that one is going to be our final solution in that step 1. This one will be our final solution in that step 1. Now let us now consider step 2. In this same question, let us consider step 2 in this same question. Maybe I told you that there are 2 steps to solve it. There are 2 steps to solve. Let us look at step 2. Step 2 in this one, step 2. We have not used this method to solve this step 2. Let us use another method and see if we can get the same solution. Step 2. Let us see. Now step 2 now we still pick the same thing. Remember we are having s squared minus 1. Remember I told you that we can split it before a all over s minus 1 plus what? B all over s plus 1. Now in this case now, take your LCM. Remember I told you, take your LCM before what? S minus 1 and s plus 1. Therefore, when you do that, this one, remember the way we did it before. So s plus 1 and the other one was what? I think we're having a b, we're having a s minus 1. S minus 1. This is the way we have it before. If you can take your mind back, this is the way we were having it before. Now, what can we do here? What can we do? You mean that, remember I told you can as well bring it down, bring these 2 down. Okay, remember I told you that you can as well factorize here. Because 1 over that 1 all over what? S minus 1 and also s plus 1. Now, what was the final result there? The final result was this a with s plus 1 and b plus b s minus 1 all over. We are having something there all over s minus 1 and what? S plus 1. Now in this case, now you can see now that we also have the same denominators for both sides. It means that I can do away with the denominators. And at the end, I will be having 1 equal what? A s plus 1 and also what? B, which is what? S minus 1. Now in this case, now what can we do? Meaning we cannot say, now I will not use that step 1 to solve. I am using step 2. It means that now I can decide to say I can eliminate 1. I can decide to do away with 1. Okay, let me eliminate A. If I eliminate A, I will use this one inside, this bracket inside. Because if S is equal, okay, if S is S plus 1 equals 0. If S plus 1 equals 0, what will happen? If S plus 1 equals 0, if S plus 1 equals 0, what will happen? If S plus 1 equals 0, what will happen? You need that my S is equal minus 1. It means that I need to put this minus 1 inside here before what? If I put minus 1, let me clean the other side of the board so that we can conclude. Let me clean here so that we can conclude. Now cleaning there now until we can conclude here. You cannot say 1 equal, put wherever you have S, put minus 1. We call what? A. Here is going to be what? A. Open bracket. I think we are going to be having F minus 1. We are going to be having minus 1 plus 1 and plus B. We are going to be having, put the same 1 here, minus 1 there. We are going to be having what? Minus 1 minus 1. And at the end, this one will be 0. Minus plus is 0. Is 0. With everything here is gone, 0. Mean that what we now have here is 1 equal. Now minus 2. Here now become minus 2b. Now looking at b, we are going to be having 1 over, at the end we are going to be having minus 1 over 2 at the end there. We are going to be having minus 1 over 2. Do you see that we have gotten the same value for b? We have gotten the same value for b. Meaning now we cannot solve for the one of okay, let us eliminate, let us do away. We have done away with this one. Let us now keep a and eliminate b. It means that what is inside b now, we have the s minus 1. It means that if s minus 1 is equal 0, it means that s is equal 1. It means that in that case now, what can we do there? Let me clean the other end so that we can finish it. Let me clean this end so that we can finish it. Now in this very one, now what can we do? It means that wherever I have my s, I will use the same thing here, Wherever I have my s, what will I do there? It means that wherever I have my s, I will put I'm going to be putting a 1 to become what? A which is 1 there, and also I will also do the same thing here. I will be having what? B, which is I will be having what? S. Okay, sorry, I will be having 1 minus 1. 1 minus 1. I'll be having 1 minus 1. Now in this case, now what can we do? Here is A. This position here is A. Meaning 1 plus 1 is what? We are having what? 2A here. Everything here is 2A. Here now is gone because 1 minus 1 is 0. Here now I cannot say A is equal to 1 over 2. Can you see now that what we have just solved, the two steps are very good and they are very right. You can see now I find the same value for A and B. It means that I cannot represent my fraction now. I can represent my fraction. I cannot say therefore 1 over s squared minus 1. 1 over s squared minus 1 is equal what? Remember what we have there is A all over s minus 1 and also what plus B all over s plus 1. Now representing it now, remember we have A. What was A? A is 1 over 2. 1 over 2 all over what? All over this very one, s minus 1. Plus what? What is B? B is what? Minus 1 over 2 all over s plus 1. That is what we have there. Meaning, therefore, I can conclude and say that if I do this one, it become 1 over 2, which is 1 over 2. If I do mathematically, I'm going to have something of this nature. Now, also do the same thing. Let me bring it to this side. Now, I'm going to be having 1 all over 2 open bracket s minus 1. This one will be what? This minus will affect become minus or affect it plus. Here become 1 over what? 2s plus 1. This is what we are going to be having. Do you see that we have the same thing? Therefore, we have just represented. Do you see we have just splitted this fraction? We have just splitted this fraction to be this into 2 or more fractions. Now, doing this kind of splitting or splitting a fraction like this is simply mean what? Partial fraction. It simply mean what? Partial fraction. I believe we have learned so much on partial fraction. I think we can move on to the next calculation on my list here. We can move on to the next calculation on my list. I believe we are okay with that. We have represented it. I hope you know. You can see there we have represented it. You can see clearly. Just go through. I will just give you like 1 minute. You go through and I will enter the next question. Thank you. God bless you.